welcome everybody. I'm very happy to be here with you at AWA in Lisbon and give you a short insight in one of our new technologies that we created for you to actually create. PTC stands for Power to Create Now. This is how we define ourselves. And with over 37 years already providing software solutions for industrial companies across the whole digital thread, building CAD systems, PLM systems, IoT systems. We do believe that we have a full range of products that will connect together well in order to go along with the journey if you're an industrial company and even beyond. So where is this journey going? There is bold predictions about where the XR industry is going and what is influence into the industrial spaces. Gartner has published 2 years ago a report saying that 75% of capital intensive industries will use augmented reality. And the question is how they are using it, right? And this is always a big challenge to understand that to get there, to get even on the road towards this, there's many challenges in an industrial company to solve. These are just partially software challenges. These are hardware challenges. These are operational challenges. These are regulatory challenges. In a global industry, it's very difficult to tackle these. And we look at this problem in a very holistic way because we believe that if you come with us on a journey, we need to cater for all these problems with you together. And so this is why we build our stack, our AR stack as well, in addition to all the industrial solutions we provide. So if this is so complicated, if this is so hard, why would even companies go and invest and go on this journey? Well, because there is pressure, right? And there is a big pressure on industrial companies for many things, for many reasons. And some of these reasons are it's actually trying to do more in less time with less resources. So this formula is really hard to solve. And we believe that these cost reductions, these increased revenue pressures are coming down very often to the actual workers executing on the line. And to improve their efficiency is one of the key problems and key goals of any of these approaches that try to bring in XR into the industrial field. So if that's the case, then it's pretty clear that the focus of XR technology should be the workers, the frontline workers who actually execute in production. But what's the reality? The reality seems to be that, according to another study, just 23% of the workers say they do have access to such technology. They do actually have access to data, to information that they need to be productive. And what's more striking is that although 75% of the workers are on the front line, there is this big imbalance between the actual need and the actual as-is situation. So with PTC and Vuforia, we are trying to kind of change this and trying to mitigate this problem by bringing in XR technology interwoven into the whole life cycle of products at a very deep level to be connected with the design data, with the live data in maintenance, in service, and be part of an entire product life cycle rather than what's very often done, being a pilot added at the very end, being kind of tried out, but not being scalable, right? So our vision is that you don't add AR as a post effect to mitigate the problem, but you plan for it from the very beginning of your product lifecycle management, And here products can be something in our customer domain. There is very different examples from a coffee machine to an aircraft carrier. Everything is a product. Well, even the factory itself is a product that you use to manufacture it. So all the AR solutions we are targeting are kind of looking at this field and trying to support this. And in order to do so, we internally have some sort of a separation of looking at these things to bring the knowledge to the front line. We would like to, with our AR stack, we would like to bring information that's centric to objects. Can be, again, the product itself, or can be the manufacturing machine itself. But also to bring information into the spaces, into the manufacturing floor, into the factories. And this distinction you will see that makes sense in a way because experiences or situations, work situations, centered around objects or machines are quite different from situations when information is required on a large-scale environment. I was talking about the AR stack. Yes, indeed, PTC has built with Vuforia an entire AR stack that kind of yielded solutions, customized solutions for instance, remote assistance, Vuforia Chalk, where you can annotate live information of a remote worker from a backend to help out, to aid people on the front line when stuck and you need expert advice. We do have a solution called Vuforia Expert Capture that is trying to focus and tackle the problem of work knowledge actually fading away from companies by people leaving, and new workers need to be trained. So it's a knowledge transfer tool to capture an expert's knowledge and then transfer it to the new worker. And Vuforia Instruct is really step-by-step instructions based around spaces, based around objects and products. This stack is kind of consisting of the solutions, and the two circled tools I would call are creator tools, right? We believe that you as an industrial company, you have the best knowledge and you are the expert to understand your own pipeline, your own situations. So we provide you with very powerful tools to bring in XR, AR into these fields. Vuforia Studio and Vuforia Engine are these with different levels of complexity and different levels of power to create. One of these technologies that we and I want to focus on now is called area targets. I don't know if how many people here have used Vuforia in the past to create applications. Yeah. So we kind of center our offerings around the targets, the technologies that are being used to annotate and associate information in the real space. Area targets is a new technology we introduced about 2 years ago initially, but it's evolving and extending, which lets you essentially capture spaces of different complexity and with different methods. We are collaborating with industrial scanning solution partners. We have our own solution where you can just use an iPad to scan your environment ad hoc. The interesting thing is this is technically a VPS system where you are in full control of the data. You are creating your spaces. You don't need any kind of external service provider to rely on. And if you want, you can keep the whole information offline, which is very interesting for industrial facilities where you're not even able to bring in your mobile phone into the facilities. So what is area targets about, and how does this kind of enrich your situation? Yep. I would like to show you 3 different use cases in industrial fields we've identified where area targets can be helpful to accomplish AR use cases, factory floor operations, guided navigations, and service and maintenance situations. So in factory floor operations, you typically deal with a built environment of a factory facility where you have production lines, production machines, processing pipelines, right, in chemical industry, very typical, where you don't have one single individual object or one single individual machine where you could kind of create a reference, what we call target, for one thing, but you would rather like to treat the entire space as a canvas for your digital information as a digital twin. So what we allow you is to scan such a facility and overlay this data with all live information connected to via IoT to your data cloud, or even offline authored information like instructions. Another situation is guided navigation. Very often, and we've seen in other talks today examples where you need to bring a person from A to B within an environment where there is no GPS or other coverage. So this is a true VPS use case to bring or navigate or help navigation of a person to a spot around, in this case, maybe even a trade show, where he needs to be in order to consume some information or to react to a situation. And another use case I would like to show with a partner called Evonik, who creates chemical processing facilities. Let the video roll. Here, a service person is shown who is kind of going into a facility and needs to do inspection rounds. One thing is that, yeah, these guys do usually know when they are working in a facility where to go, what to inspect. But then how do you document that they've been there? How do you actually verify they have been kind of doing their round? Also, it is a boring job sometimes, to be honest, to do the same rounds. And you would like to rotate, but then if you rotate, how do you convey the information how to do these rounds? If this facility is somewhere globally deployed, how do you make sure that the workers on site do get the real guidance? So there is lots of use cases where inspection would need a VPS system indoors. And what you see here is that in combination with live IoT data, you can kind of do this check procedures that they need to fulfill for regulatory reasons in this case. And if there is some situation they need to react, then they need to, or they can do those steps and verify those steps that, based on the feedback from the system, that this correction was done. Another example I would like to show you now is how you create these experiences. And as I said, in our stack, we do have two kind of very powerful ways to create augmented experiences. One, which is a visual authoring solution called Vuforia Studio. If you're not familiar, it's a web-based tool that you can also run in an on-prem configuration. Allows you to combine information from the digital thread, importing CAD data, connecting to an IoT cloud, and kind of orchestrate this information into an AR experience. So what's being shown here is, this is our expo center in Boston headquarters. We call it Customer Experience Center, where multiple machines are kind of set up, where live information from the IoT sensors is actually brought in. And the way this was created is the environment was scanned with our Vuforia area target application that allows you to bring in the visual representation into Studio, if you're familiar with the interface. And from then on, you literally just align the data, you put the data where it seemingly belongs, right, into a representation, into a visual representation of your space, and you deploy the application right from this environment onto devices, which can be both mobile devices or HoloLens or similar head-worn devices. Another path to create, if you are kind of trying to integrate the experience into your existing app, where Vuforia Studio comes with a browser. It's called Vuforia View, so you are bound to one browser to experience that. But then there is the step when you would like to integrate XR capabilities into your existing app on your facility, and you would like to do a deep integration. This is when our SDK called Vuforia Engine comes into play, which allows you to bring in all the power of AR functionality that we offer in our solutions also inside your application. So you can directly connect to your ticketing, to your kind of authentication systems, etc. This is when you build an application based on Vuforia Engine. And what we show here is Engine SDK allows you to use Unity as a development environment, visual development environment. Here we show this is a 2,000 square meter facility where the previously shown guided navigation was authored, right? And you see you have a representation of the environment. You can author the whole experience offline, even with remote collaboration in other places of the world. And then on-site, it's fully disconnected, so it's a pure on-device localization system that allows you to instantly localize yourself in the space and offer high-quality experiences. Right, and with that, I would like to conclude the presentation, leave the video rolling in the background. Maybe one note, since we, as you may know, offer also other technologies to align information with objects using what we call model targets, or we can use markers, integrate these. You have the ability also to make a combination of this area target, large scale kind of visual positioning with any super precise on object augmentation tracking technologies. And with that, thank you so much. I'm open for questions with respect to the technology or the solutions. Feel free to.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Yes, sir.
Hi, I have hundreds of licenses of your CAD in my company.
Okay.
And about the integration with CAD, when you import with Vuforia the CAD data, is something provided to put inside also the kinematic that is set up in the CAD system and not to restart from the beginning in Vuforia to all the movements of the animation?
Okay. Yeah, it's not related to area targets, but I'm happy to answer this question as well. If you have been, unfortunately, just online version of our LiveWorks conference this year in May, we have demonstrated the technology which we refer to as an extension of the model targets technology, which deals about static objects. And we have shown that, yes, we are able to include the kinematics, or you would refer to as a change of the object with hinges, etc., changes, and track in such situations as well. There is scenarios where we believe that this technology can be very powerful, like assembly scenarios, for instance, where you have a series of components, parts being added to a structure to make it complex, or actually disassemble this for repair, and where you need, for instance, step-by-step instructions in such situations, but the object itself is changing over the time. And yes, we are kind of working on this.
Thank you. Yes. Start here, I'll come there.
Thank you. Do you need to use your scanner, or could you use third-party scans like Matterport?
Yes, I wasn't kind of deeply going into this detail. So the area targets technology allows you to import scan data Currently, we officially support Matterport, Navviz, Leica scanners. We have an importer that allows to import E57 data. So if you can kind of shape your data in the format of an E57, which is an interchange file published with published kind of internals, then you can even go beyond and try that one. This is kind of the scanning methodology we recommend for spaces from 100 to like 1,000 square meters. But with Navviz, you can go to 100,000 square meters. So we are covering all that with the VPS system. We offer on the lower end of this pipeline from 0 to 100 square meter. This is how we try to stage it. Our iPad-based scanning technology or iPhone-based. So this is a scanning technology that we developed. And from then on, from the point of when you create this so-called area target, the technology is seamless. So it doesn't matter what kind of technology you used for scanning and digitizing your space. When it's turned into a digital twin, you can just work on with that. Okay?
Hi, Sachin Sharma, Pfizer. We have kind of been playing around with air targets, trying them out. So what we have observed, it works well for smaller places, but as you go for the bigger spaces, what we have found are the spaces like having repetitive patterns, the tracking seems to get lost. So are you guys working on optimization part of it? Let's say when the lighting is low or there is some repetitive pattern to make sure the tracking is more accurate, because that is something what we have experienced. So
yeah, clearly one of the situations in built environments is that we humans make it ourselves easy for various reasons and create copies of things, right? And should it be machines in a production line, or even if you think of a hotel with 20 floors, right? Every floor is just looking the same. And if you don't see the right number on the floor, then you have no clue, or on the doors, no clue to even as a human to distinguish these floors. So we are dealing with the same problems also with vision-based localization technologies. But for the particular problem that you mentioned on the repetitive situations, yes, we are kind of improving the technology to actually figure out those tiny differences that are there in such situations, while we put labels on the machines in order to be able to distinguish them. And also we are working on a more, I would say, different level of approach, which we call prior. So trying to kind of leverage hybrid tracking methodologies to get some guidance in such visually similar situations. Yeah, so feel free to reach out to me directly and can help you with that.
What do you call that? You said the new, I'm here.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, what did you say, the new, you said prior?
Yes, prior technology, yeah. It is, we look at this vision positioning as one system, but if you can, from a hybrid system, bring in another guidance, a rough guidance, then we can absorb that information. Let's say you are in a large factory hall, which allows you still a GPS-based rough localization or a Wi-Fi-based indoor positioning. Then we can absorb that information, and it will help you to get started in super large spaces like above 10,000 square meters.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, my name is Maria. Actually, you kind of touched upon my question. I wanted to ask if you have use cases on exteriors. We have recently a case where we needed to have a POC for a art gallery on the exteriors. So you can have anchors like in, I don't know, statues or buildings or whatever. You cannot really put QR codes or targets. So my question is that if you already can support that, or when you talk about big spaces, probably this is not.
I'm happy to show you on my laptop. I didn't include it in the presentation. So you may know that Vuforia is existing now for like 12 years. And half of this time we are with PTC, very proud, focusing on industrial solutions, but we have a very big legacy of over 1 million developers out there using Vuforia SDK for all sorts of things. And we are kind of not forgetting about that. So we have, for instance, users of area target technology who have enabled 22,000 square meter museum with labels all around in all floors of the building, with visual guidance, with background information, with multimedia, localized multimedia information. And happy to show you that project to kind of maybe it helps you as an inspiration.
Thank you. We have time for one more question. Yes.
Hello, Zsolt from Pfizer. We see usually, especially on the manufacturing shop floor, the physical space changes when we're scaling up the production. There are new lines added, we're doing constructions. So there's the need to redo the scans, update the area targets. Is there a way to maybe make that process easier? Don't redo the whole scan, just the parts that have been changed? Maybe something like this in your next plans?
I'm happy to see the, let's call it very diplomatic, hunger that we created with this technology. Yes, that's definitely a big topic. How do you deal with a digital twin over time, right? This is the core of this topic. And we believe that digital twins are not dead one-offs, but they are evolving over time, like space is changing. So one of the projects we are working with is a hardware store operator. As you can imagine, like they have their weekly offerings, etc. So they need to change portions of the space and upgrade and evolve. In some other spaces, like a processing facility, you have one installation for the next 30 years, nothing is changing, right? So yes, this is definitely a topic, and we are working on different ways to solve that, and happy to talk to you and support you in that.
Zsolt, thank you very much for your presentation.
Yeah.